Good morning, children. We have already completed our first chapter from First Flight along with the two poems. And now let's proceed to the second chapter from the same book, that is Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. So Nelson Mandela's full name was Nelson Rulhal Mandela. Okay, you might have heard this name. He was a very famous personality in this world. So before starting the chapter, let me throw a little light on this topic. Nelson Mandela, he is a very famous personality, belongs to South Africa. And Long Walk to Freedom, it is an autobiography of Nelson Mandela. Autobiography means, children, life story of a person written by himself. So it means Long Walk to Freedom was an autobiography written by Nelson Mandela himself. And this chapter, it is just a little extract from this autobiography. Okay, just a part of it we will be dealing over here in this chapter. So Nelson Mandela, he was one of the world's most recognizable fighters against inequality and oppression. Okay, and his struggles and sacrifices made him the father of that nation, South Africa. Actually, he played a very vital role in abolishing the apartheid system. You might have heard about the system apartheid system was prevalent in South Africa, where the white people, they dominated the black people. The South Africans were the black people, and they were always dominated by the white people. So how he abolished the system over there, that all things we will be dealing in this chapter further. So let's come to your book. Before you read, apartheid, it is a political system that separates people according to their race. Can you say which of the three countries named below had such a political system until very recently? Just now I dealt little bit about that it was prevalent in South Africa. And apartheid, as I told you, it is the policy of racial separation, where the people, they were distinguished from others on the basis of their common physical characteristics like the skin color or the other physical characteristics. Okay, so that is the apartheid. Now, have you heard of Nelson Mandela? Of course, just now we heard little bit more. We will know Mandela and his African National Congress spent a lifetime fighting against apartheid. Mandela had to spend 30 years in prison. Finally, democratic elections were held in South Africa in 1994, and Mandela became the first black president of a new nation. So remember this year, that is in the year 1994, when the elections were held and the people themselves elected Mandela as their president of that new nation now. So in this extract from his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, Mandela speaks about a historic occasion, the inauguration. Can you guess what the occasion might be? Check your guess with this news item from the BBC of 10th May 1994. So it was a historic date for South Africa. Remember, 10th May 1994, and the occasion was the inauguration. So let's come to know what was this inauguration about. Mandela becomes South Africa's first black president on this date, children, 10th May 1994. Nelson Mandela has become South Africa's first black president after more than 3 centuries of white rule. Mr. Mandela's African National Congress party won 252 of the 400 seats in the first democratic elections of South Africa's history. So children, it created a history. It was a moment, the first moment in South Africa when what happened there, after more than 3 centuries of the white rule, okay, the black person became the president over there. And the inauguration ceremony took place in the Union Buildings Amphitheatre in Pretoria, today attended by politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. Never, never again will this beautiful land experience the oppression of one by another, said Nelson Mandela in his address. So, while addressing the people, okay, what he said that this moment will never be seen on this beautiful land, okay, that is, the land will never again experience the oppression of one by another. So what is this oppression, children? It is actually the exercise of the authority in a cruel or unjust manner, okay. So now they will not have to face any cruelty from anyone else now after this moment. So it took place, the ceremony, inauguration ceremony took place where? In the Union Buildings amphitheater. Amphitheater means that is the open air theater with the seats over there, okay, outside the building only, in Pretoria, the place Pretoria. And this ceremony was attended by all the great politicians and even the dignitaries, means the most respectable persons who gathered over there from more than 140 countries around the world. So jubilant scenes on the streets of Pretoria followed the ceremony with blacks, whites and coloreds celebrating together. More than 1 lakh South African men, women and children of all races sang and danced with joy. See the most memorable moment on that day, okay, in the year 1994, when what scene could be seen over there? The streets of Pretoria, it was followed by not only the whites but the blacks, whites and all the colored people. They celebrated together this day over there, and more than 1 lakh African people, including all the men, women and even the children, they were so happy because they were liberated now from the clutches of the white who dominated them, okay, on the basis of the racial discrimination, so of their color. So now they were singing and dancing with joy in the streets of Pretoria, okay. So you can see the activities given over there, that I hope so you children will be able to do. So now starting from the first para of this chapter. 10th May dawned bright and clear. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders on South African soil. So, Nelson Mandela, he writes himself, I here refers to himself as it is an autobiography we came to know. So it was the 10th May of which year? 1994. Okay, when the sky was very clear. Dawn means the morning hours. The morning was very bright and clear, and he says that from the last few days he had been besieged, means surrounded by all the respectable persons and the world leaders, okay, who were coming to pay their respects, okay. For paying respect means congratulating whom? To Nelson Mandela before this inauguration it takes place, okay. And this inauguration was going to be the largest gathering over there, where all the international leaders who once avoided this place, many countries were there who just avoided this place because of this apartheid system prevalent over there, okay. But today, from all the countries, the dignitaries, the respectable persons were gathered over on the South African soil just to congratulate Nelson Mandela for his victory over there, elected as the first president of South Africa. Coming to next para, the ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheater formed by the Union Buildings in Pretoria. For decades, this had been the seat of white supremacy, and now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. So what's given over there in the next para, children? The ceremony that took place in the Union Building, we came to know, and it was in the amphitheater. I already explained you, children. It was a building without a roof with many rows of seats rising in the steps over there in Pretoria. For decades you understand, I hope so. It is the period of term of 10 years. So decades, many years. Okay, this was only occupied by the white people. They were the supreme power over there many years before, and now this place, it was now occupied by not only the white but the people of different colors, okay, have gathered over there. And it seems like the rainbow gathering, as we find in a rainbow different colors, beautiful colors. Here the same way, here we can see the people of white, black and all the colors mixed over there. Okay, and for what purpose they had gathered? For the setup of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. Now the government which was going to be formed over there the first time was the non-racial government, where there will be no discrimination on the basis of any races now, and all the people will be treated equally.